Hey everybody, it's Ryan from Pie Records, and I'm here with Ferenc from Frankie and the Pool Boys and Pollo Del Mar. How are you, Ferenc?
All right, Ryan. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me
I'm so excited to
today.
talk to you about this music. I love a lot of chords in surf music, and you use that to your advantage because you have a unique sound. You want to talk about maybe your influences to start off?
Yeah. Did you say there's a lot of chords in surf music?
No, I like the
I didn't
chords.
hear you.
I like the chords that you use in the surf in your
Oh,
surf.
you like the chords that I use? Yeah, I like a lot of chords. Some bands only use three. I tend to use a lot more,
Yeah.
probably to my detriment. Gets a little complicated sometimes, but um, when I was learning how to be a songwriter, I just I come more from the melody. I try and write really good melodies, and the melodies lead to the chords. So that's why there's a lot of chords in my music. Yeah, people like Burt Bacharach and Brian Wilson. Those are people who had some influence on me early on, and they really just found they followed wherever the music took them rather than like starting out with like we're going to do this three-chord rock and roll. They just let it go and followed their own path.
Yeah, it's a really great sound. It's kind of its own unique thing. The Pool Boys and Pollo Del Mar, they just they're different bands, but I can tell you're in them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, I'm the primary songwriter for both bands. I like to think that the two bands are pretty different, um, but yeah, at the core, it comes out of my songwriting. Um, Pollo Del Mar was much more of came the sounds come came much more from the guys that I was playing with, and it's much more of a group thing where I can bring them the song and they'll just do whatever the hell they want with it. And Frankie and the Pool Boys, I'm much more the architect of the sound. Like I really want to channel Booker T or I don't know, Frankie Valli or whoever, just I want to explore that sound. So that's the big difference between the two bands.
Both ways seem very liberating. Wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, music is great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're just listening to it or you're playing it or whatever. But as long as there's music involved, it's going to be a good time. If I think if you're doing music and you're not enjoying it, then you're really fucking up. You're really doing something wrong.
Totally. So, Frankie and the Pool Boys, you have a bunch of stuff out, but you have some cool stuff coming up. You want to talk about what's going on with High Tide and Double Crown?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is so our first three CDs sold out, which was the first one was self-titled, the second one was The Adventures of Captain Coconuts, and the third one is Spin the Bottle. And so they all sold out right around the same time, and I didn't really know it. And then I was talking to Sean at Double Crown about whether we should re-release or repress them all, or just the idea of an anthology came up. And so we picked 27 songs. So there's 23 songs off the records and then 4 new songs.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so it's a can I do this for a sec? Let's see. Oh no, I can't do that. Okay, never mind. I was going to show you the album cover for it. Anyway, I'll tell you about it. So the new songs they're not like leftovers. They're new. There were songs that were actually recorded fairly recently after our Mexico tour, except for there's a live version of the Surf Coasters song Dreams, which features Naotaka Seki of the Surf Coasters playing drums. So I really wanted him to be on that record because he's a good friend, and he actually did a couple tours with us already in America. So I wanted him to be on the album too.
That's awesome.
And then yeah, and then when we were in Mexico, which seems like a lifetime ago, but it was December 2019. We rehearsed a bunch of songs, and then we recorded them right after we got home in January. And then of course the shutdown happened, so nothing really happened with them. But so they're new songs, which were probably going to be for a new album, but they ended up being here. Anyway, that's the compilation. It's going to be called The Wet Season, and it should be out within 6 weeks. I'm just finishing up the artwork. We have new artwork by Fred Lammers, who's been doing our stuff for years. And actually, it's old stuff. I have to be very careful because Fred doesn't do, he's not doing any new artwork. He's only doing non-representational artwork now, abstract. Okay, anyway, long story. I can take a short story and make it really long. And then I signed a 4-song deal with High Tide Recordings. Just Vincent and Magdalena just wanted like 4 songs just to try and to release them online. They're not slated for vinyl or an album yet. We'll see what happens with that. But that's a whole new relationship. We're seeing how it goes. But the first song from them, which is called Percolator, is going to be coming out, I think, within a month.
Okay.
And it's a real trad surf song. It's like that's like one of the styles I love to do, is just the real super trad style. So that'll be coming out within a month.
So that's very cool. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, and yeah, there's more. And of course, I'm writing new stuff for the band, and I have 8 new songs ready. As soon as we can get together and rehearse, we're going to start rehearsing again soon.
Have you been exchanging demos back and forth, like remotely?
Yeah. You know, I usually come up with a pretty raw little demo and then just send it to the guys, and you know, we'll come together and hash it out.
I love that concept of a raw demo, and then the feeling you must get when you get back their tracks on top of it. It must be pretty exciting for you.
Well, I don't usually send them to other people to put stuff on top. They usually just listen to it, and then when we come together, that's where the stew starts to brew. And yeah, it's more like an outline. And I kind of purposely make my demos really shitty, so I don't get attached to them. Sometimes I've made demos and it's like, oh, you know, this has just got to be it. But then, you know, then you don't leave any room for other people to have input. And also it's like, and then I get frustrated because it doesn't sound like the demo. So I try not to put too much into the demo.
So that's great news on that front. On Pollo Del Mar, that's another great band. I love the mellow atmosphere. I believe Hall of the Mountain King was on one of the records.
Yeah.
I really dug it.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, Point Del Mar is, you know, I started it with my friend Jono, and then soon afterwards, a couple other friends of ours joined up, Jeff Turner and Jeremy Rexford. And we've really been playing together since 95. And it really is, there's a lot more collaboration and a lot more like slugging stuff out and this and that, going back and forth in the music. And but our last album came out in 2004, I think, on Music Recordings. And so we had a long time in between then and now, and we took probably 7 years off from playing together live. And so for us, with the shutdown, it was really just a question of could we get together and practice? You know, we had nothing else going on. Nobody did. So we just decided we were going to practice, and in my basement I could open up sliding glass doors and we put some big fans, and we're wearing masks. And last August we got together and we recorded 10 songs for a new album, and
Wow.
it's finished. It's finished. It's mixed, and what I'm trying to just get it done. I'm looking for an artist who can do like real psychedelic, not like digital psychedelic, but like real psychedelic. And I haven't really found the right artist for the cover yet, so we're working on that. But that is going to come out on music recordings too, and so hopefully that'll be out by summer. It takes a long time to make vinyl these days. It takes 4 or 5 months
Yeah, right.
to
Yeah.
actually to get your vinyl.
So do you prefer putting it out on vinyl?
I always regret that we didn't put everything out on vinyl. And now it's really coming back where like the albums that did come out on vinyl, even in the late 90s and early 2000s, are really sought after. Yeah, I prefer the sound of vinyl. I don't really even have a CD player anymore. I had to buy a little, single rack CD player because my old one crapped out. And I got a bunch of CDs over there, and I got a bunch of albums and stuff. So yeah, I like vinyl. I mean, it's better. And these days with digital downloading, people don't really seem to buy CDs very much. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Um,
yeah.
so before we get into the last part, I want to talk about your fuzz rock band. Um,
Oh,
I I loved that traditional like big fuzz sound, and I was really interested to hear about that.
so yeah, I play in a band called the Ifik, which is it's led by a guy named Jeff Dewhurst and Chris Stark on drums, and we had Shane from the Bomboras on bass, but Shane has moved on now that the Bomboras are getting busier again. And but we're recording an album of Jeff's songs, and yeah, it's fuzzy. I mean, Jeff is a fuzz guru. He's got all of the fuzzes on the floor there, and it's made me bring out my fuzzes. And for me, it's a big change. I don't play Stratocasters, which or my jazz master in this band. I play a Les Paul Jr. And so it really goes way back for me because like punk rock is my first love.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I love to hear
uh,
that.
yeah, I spent a long time in surf music. I've been playing surf music since 1989, so it's great, just to have a Les Paul Jr. plugged straight into the amp, or maybe with a little fuzz, and just kind of tear it up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Something really interesting you mentioned to me for the interview was you have a column in the Continental. I love that zine so much. I think Sean does such a great service to the music scene, bands
Yeah.
and fans, and I think the comp that he puts out with it is wonderful. Um, it's just a really great idea. Do you want to talk about your column and your connection to Sean and the Continental?
Yeah, I love the Continental. He's on issue 30 now, and and before it was the Continental, it was something else. I'd have to, yeah, there it is. Yeah, and what was it called? I don't know. I have it on the shelf right over there. But yeah, he's been and it's just great. And just the reviews, like sometimes there'd be like 60 reviews in the magazine and articles, and he doesn't publish digitally. It really is a zine. So you have to get it. And, I like the tactile, like you feel, just reading and
Yeah.
putting on the CD, listening to the music while you're reading it, and the interviews. So about a year and a half ago, I said to Sean, I'd like to write, I was already like writing reviews and publishing them on my little blog, which nobody would ever read. I mean, nobody knows how to find my blog. And so I sent them over to him, and he started publishing them. And so now I just I review exclusively for him. And what I wanted to do was not just give a like a short review, but really, really dig into the music, you know, almost song by song, and talk about, you know, what just like the emotions that it makes me feel, you know, just like try to give it a real review rather than just like, here's the new album from so and so. And so it's been a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of emotional depth in surf music, even without the lyrics. Actually, I think there's more emotional depth in instrumental music than in lyric music. So I wanted to talk about that. And you know, I just finished reviewing the new Lay Agamemnon's album, which I highly recommend. It's unbelievable. But I think I wrote like 600 words for it. I was like, okay, you gotta stop at some point. Yeah, so I'm really happy that Sean reviews, and now I get to do some interviews, and I interviewed Los Frenéticos, and I don't know, I can't remember because I'm old and like stuff.
Because there's so many.
But yeah, but it's been great. Yeah, but I look forward to working with Sean a lot more.
That's
And
great. It's
I mean, I don't know how you could be, I don't know how you could be a fan in the surf music world and not get the Continental.
yeah, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's almost like news. It's like a newspaper for surf, like
Yeah,
traditional in that way, but everything that's going on is happening in that magazine.
yeah, you know, yeah, and it has a sort of a timeless quality to it because it's printed like, you know, on Facebook or whatever. When you hear about something, it just blips and goes by, and just no clue as to, you know, be like, oh, I think I remember something about something, and but you know, the magazine is forever.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about your writing style and your playing style. Who would you say? I know it's a question that probably gets asked a lot, but who are your inspirations, your influences when you writing and playing wise?
Um, I was influenced a lot early on by my older brother, he's a little bit older than me. He's about 13 years older than me, and he taught me how to play guitar, but like I never really had any lessons, so I just kind of figured stuff out on my own. So like my biggest inspiration when I was younger was Jeff Beck with the Yardbirds. I was crazy about the early Yardbirds records once I found them. I mean, before that, it kind of, things took me there, but like Cheap Trick, just love that band, and I still love them, and I love how uh, I love how they have songs, you know, and I'm not really into jams and just noodling. I like songs that where the melody leads places. So anyway, I have to say Jeff Beck with the Yardbirds, Rick Nielsen with Cheap Trick. God, after that, it's so many. Peter Buck with REM, just kind of when growing up in Florida, and REM was so huge down there, like just like the early college radio sound, their first couple records. Um, so like every time I do a drone that has the high E string open, it's always Pete Buck, and I think it shows up in every song. Um, I love the Ventures, like the psychedelic kind of era of the Ventures, when they were stretching out, and which led me to like Japanese Aleki music. Um, I love the Beach Boys, um, especially like the Brian Wilson indulgences. Uh,
Did
I
you
don't know, it just goes on.
did you like the Smile album when it came out? Did you?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, definitely. You know, it was so great. It was so great to hear that, and you know, we all had like those compilation records where they like had little bits and pieces and tried to put it together over the years. but to have that in one place was absolutely fantastic. And I've seen Brian Wilson live probably, I don't know, 6 times since 1999. And I really always enjoyed the shows. And I've seen the Pet Sounds and the Smile tours and
Yeah,
whatever else. Yeah, he's
he had a really big
always
operation.
you know what?
He had a really big group for the tour, I understand.
Yeah. Well, it was the Wonderments, right? And with many more people. But yeah, last time I saw him, he didn't really hardly play or sing. It was just he stood in the middle of the stage, and all this music happened around him, and he just kind of like had his head back and was just like he was listening to the perfect recording. It was quite touching and quite beautiful. Um, I don't know like if he's actively involved as a band leader, but the music really shone, and the love that the band has for him is quite obvious. They were trying to make the music to please him. It was
So,
also a great tour because the Zombies were opening.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's great.
So as far as the Beach Boys go, they started with like that drag race kind of muscle car sound. And do you think that that came straight out of the Dick Dale style? Um or do you think that they were trying to do a different version of surf because it was vocals? Or how do you make that connection between those two? Or is there a connection?
No, I think there's definitely a connection. I don't think either of them started it. I mean, and this is just my opinion. I mean, it's not a very good opinion, but it's just teenage culture. It's just whatever. If it wasn't those guys, it would have been somebody else figuring out like this is what teenagers want to hear. And I think I mean, I think it's been stated that with rock and roll, it was like they finally realized that teenagers were buying things, and so maybe they should market towards teenagers, whether it's a hula hoop or whatever else the kid wants. So singing songs about cars is you're going to have a lot more sales than if you're singing songs about, I don't know, dishwashers or something. So yeah, so whether Dick Dale did it and I think Dick, he kind of like groped around looking for subject matters, right? I mean, he was a
Yeah.
country and western singer, and yeah, so he was looking for the next fit. He would have happily been Elvis if he could have done that, but he ended up being Dick Dale. And the same thing I think with Brian. And Brian's like, Dennis, what are the kids talking about, on the beach? Because Dennis was the real connection to the beach. So that's where that came on. Anyway, it would have happened with or without any of them. It was just the culture.
It's it's so cool. That time in the 60s. I wasn't born yet, but my dad had all the records because he was a DJ, and they were all at my disposal. I could listen to them all, and God only knows, um, Misery Lou, like oddities that you wouldn't think are on a top 40 station. My dad had those, um,
Yeah,
and it was great to pull those out and hear something different.
yeah. I was very similar. I think a lot of people had that like older brother, or in your case, your dad. I had one older brother who just gave me a stack of 45s, and I didn't really have a clue about him. I just sat there with my little, my little turntable, like listening to him, like, okay, I like this one, I like that one. And so like some of the songs, they're like really touch, like I did a version of Walk Away Renee, surf style, just because like that song has always stuck with me since I was, had the 45 when I was a little kid.
How I asked this question a couple times to a couple different people, but what did you think of Brian Setzer's version of Sleepwalk?
Oh, I think I can't say that I've specifically heard it. Oh, well, what era would I mean? He's an amazing guitar player, so I'm sure he did a great version of it. Was it wildly different than all of
Uh,
that
it,
songs?
it's much more involved. it it was with his orchestra, and it was So good.
Uh,
The original version was my wedding song, so I have a special connection. It was always my favorite song.
nice.
My whole life, no matter what I listened to, it was always my favorite song.
Uh-huh. I've played it. I've played that song at weddings myself, so I'm happy to hear that that it's your song. Yeah, it's a beautiful song, and I could see it leading to orchestrations because it's a beautiful melody and it has some interesting chords, and that's really all you need. A talented arranger can just take that and build on it. I will have to check out Brian Setzer's version.
Yeah, it's about 20 years old now. Um, I want to say that album or that song won a Grammy. I'm not sure, but that album was pretty big for him.
Yeah, the one with the orchestra, the big band. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's funny. My favorite Brian Setzer album is one after he left the Stray Cats, and he tried doing kind of just like a straight ahead rock
yeah.
album. And I'd have to pull it out. I can't remember the name of it, but it was just a great rock album with like seriously twangy sound. So he was doing it was like Americana, but he was doing that when at a time when it wasn't popular.
Was that the
Uh,
song "The Night Feels Like Justice"?
maybe.
Because
It's
I
funny.
remember that time.
Yeah, I'd have to pull out the album. I really haven't listened to it, but I remember getting it in about 1986, thinking
Yeah,
like, oh, this is going to be interesting. The Stray Cats had just broken up, and yeah, it's just I don't know. I think he's leaning against a Cadillac, just looking American. I don't know.
yeah. Okay. Well, is there? We talked about a lot of stuff. Is there anything we left out that you might want to talk about?
I don't know. I am excited to get the Poet Omar record, and I am excited to be working with music, and I talked to Art. I know you've talked to Art before, and he's really busy. They got a lot of stuff coming out this year, and we didn't really tell anybody that we were recording the Poet Omar record. We just did it, and we didn't talk about it. So I presented it to him, and Art, would you still be interested in the band? Obviously, we haven't been signed to music in a long time, so yeah, so he's enthusiastic, and he's going to fit it into the release schedule. Um, but it's been really fun because there's zero surf music on it. It's just as psychedelic as we could possibly be. We wanted to be mid 60s psychedelic influence. So it's just a lot of fun. I hope people will remember Poet Omar from that long ago. It's been a long time. And anyway, that's my bag. So just keep writing more projects, new projects, whatever.
Constantly keep it busy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I know it's I think after these COVID times, I mean, I think there's going to be a huge amount of art coming out, whether it's music or whatever, but hopefully artists have been woodshedding and just stockpiling songs and stuff, and just so we could have a real creative outburst rather than just like killing our livers and binge watching TV and
Yeah.
you know
It's funny you say that because I said that to somebody the other day. This the same thing that I think people are just going to come out of their houses and there's just going to be this huge explosion of people out with art and music and
uh,
movies, and it's just going to be like I don't know, but exactly what you said. I said it the other day to somebody.
what do you got going on at Pi Records? What do you do over there?
Um, well, it's a promotions company basically, but we podcast. We just put out our first release on our label. Um, I do a lot of interviews. We just did our first radio show for the podcast, which has punk, rockabilly, surf, acoustic. I don't discriminate on that channel or on any of the podcasts who I interview, as long as it's music and it's interesting. But then I have a record store. I do. My wife does promo videos for labels and musicians, and they send us their records. We play them, and then she does a video, and then we share it on Facebook and our YouTube channel. So there's over there's a couple hundred on there of that, but it's all independent bands and labels. It's nothing too huge because it's I think that's just what I wanted our thing to be is to be a part and to kind of grow with everybody. So that's kind of what we do.
Right, well, I love that the spirit of punk rock and grassroots and support has never left. It's always going to be about all of us helping each other out, get the word out about the good music. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I totally agree with that. Things may have been different hadn't I found punk rock, but that was definitely a driving force in my life, and it got me back into music. And I get to talk to really cool people like you and hear everybody's story. It's really just like going to a show. I feel these podcasts are like going to a show and talking about the latest band. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I think.
Yeah, well, I can't wait till we can actually go back to shows. So that'll be great. I know we're itching to play. We've got couple of clubs here in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, that are opening up with outdoor venues and now indoor venues, but you still got to be spaced out. But hopefully we'll get back to it. And like international tours, we were supposed to go to Livorno this summer, for the Surfer Joe Festival, and of course that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Wait a sec, I meant last summer, so not this summer either. But yeah, hopefully we'll all get to go back. And if you've never gone, I hope you go. It's amazing. It's a great time.
I would love to go because Italy has a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of surf bands come there. I think it would be a lot of fun.
It's a great time. Yeah.
It's
All right.
like,
Well, I look forward to meeting you.
that would be great. If you guys come to Philly, we're gonna come down and see you.
All right. All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks very much. Okay. Great talking to you.